Let me ask you something. Have you ever given a gift or maybe helped out a colleague and then found yourself, kind of waiting for something back? Like a thank you or some recognition, maybe even a favor down the road. It's totally human. But that little tension, that space between giving and expecting, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today using this really powerful idea called agape leadership. So, here's the plan. First, we're going to look at why we usually give. Then we'll dive into this agape philosophy. After that, we'll talk about the real reward of giving, the joyful heart. And finally, we'll get super practical about how you can actually lead this way. All right, let's start by getting real with ourselves. Let's dig into that basic question. What's really going on in our heads when we give? Seriously, just take a second and think about it. At work, being generous is often, a strategy, right? We network, we mentor, we share what we know, and deep down, we're often hoping it builds up some goodwill that'll pay off for us later. It's almost like a transaction, a form of professional currency. And look, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's definitely not the whole story. And this is where we see a huge difference. On one side, you've got the standard way of thinking. I give so that I get something back. It's all about that expected return. But on the other side is something we've all felt but maybe don't focus on. That genuine, fulfilling feeling that comes from just giving, with absolutely no strings attached. That feeling right there, that's the real payoff.
So if we want to get more of that real payoff, we're going to need a new way to think about it. And that's where this different approach comes in, the agape philosophy.
Okay, I know the term agape might sound a little big or formal, but just hang with me, because how it applies to leadership is honestly a game changer. You see, the ancient Greeks had a bunch of different words for love, and agape, it described a very specific and very powerful type.
So here's what it all boils down to. Agape is about unconditional care. It means you act without expecting anything in return. Now, in a leadership role, this isn't about being soft, not at all. It's about making a conscious choice to invest in your team's success and well-being, just for their sake. And here's the wild part. This approach actually ends up building incredibly strong, high-performing teams. So what does this look like day to day? Well, it breaks down into three key things. First, you genuinely care for the people on your team. You see them as people, not just job titles. Second, you have to walk the walk. You are the #1 example of this unconditional support. And third, you actively build a culture where your team members start supporting each other in that exact same way.
Now let's talk about what happens inside you when you start operating this way, because the whole reward system just flips. You stop looking for approval from the outside and you start finding it somewhere else entirely.
Yeah, when you practice generosity this way, the goal isn't a promotion or a bigger budget or even a simple thank you. The one and only goal is that internal feeling, that emotional fulfillment you get from helping someone else grow and succeed. That's the prize.
This quote from the source material really just nails the whole idea we're talking about today. It completely reframes generosity. It's not some selfless act where you lose something. It's a self-fulfilling act that brings you joy. You give because the act of giving itself makes your job, your leadership, and honestly your life feel more meaningful. Okay, so this is a beautiful idea, right? But the million-dollar question for any leader is, how do you actually make this happen? How do you take it from a nice philosophy to something your team does every single day? That's the real challenge, isn't it? How do you weave this idea into the very fabric of your team or your company? How do you get it to move from just a nice idea to being a core part of your culture?
Well, the source material gives us a clear 3-step framework. First, you adopt it into policy. This means creating actual systems that encourage it, things like peer-to-peer recognition programs or being flexible with time for mentorship. Second, you adopt it into procedure. This is about building it into your daily routines, like starting meetings by sharing wins or asking, who needs a hand today? And finally, and this is the most important one, you adopt it into practice. That's on you, the leader, to live and breathe this stuff every single day.
And why go to all this trouble? Because the payoff is huge. You end up creating a culture of real trust and support where people feel safe. You become the model for the exact behavior you want to see from everyone else. And for you personally, you tap into a source of real emotional fulfillment that can completely change how you feel about your work. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The next time you're talking with your team, or making a big decision as a leader, or just doing something generous, ask yourself this question. What would change if your only expectation wasn't getting something back or even getting recognized, but was just the joy of the act itself? What could that unlock for you and for them?